game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
Hell yeah.
They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second.
Hey everybody, I wanted to talk about Philando Castile. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing his name. I guess he was murdered. If you listen to a lot of or read a lot of the tweets, assassinated by police and everything else. I want to kind of prove to everybody today that you are brainwashed if you believe that. And first, I guess I'll use an example, though I didn't have time to listen to the case. I don't even know if it was a public case. I would love to see the video from the police officer. But in any event, the gentleman that was murdered, Philando, was carrying a concealed weapon. And unfortunately, he was, I guess toxicology reports said he was he was smoking weed or what have you before. So essentially he was under the influence. And any of my friends that carry a concealed weapon, if we are going to be drinking, we don't smoke weed, but if we did, we would leave the gun in the car or in the locker room or somewhere. But he was under the influence when he had his weapon on him, to the best of what I could tell. And unfortunately, whether you're a little lethargic when that's going on, you don't make the best of decisions. And I'm wondering if that played a role in his ultimate death. And before everybody says, oh, well, weed's legal, and blah, blah, blah. Here's where the brainwashing comes in, is imagine the outcry. In other words, you're saying it's a non-issue that he was high while he had the weapon. And can you imagine if the police officer were high or under the influence of something, and he just shot this person, killed him, come to find out later on, he was under the influence while on duty or while he had a weapon. And you'll say, oh, that's different because he's a cop, this, that, and the other. Yeah, well, it's still illegal. And just like it's illegal for you to operate heavy equipment when you're under the influence, and it's illegal to possess a firearm when you're under the influence, and if it's not, it should be. And at the very least, it's poor judgment. And the fact that it doesn't get brought up is interesting. But when all you hear is cops are murderers and this gentleman was assassinated, then how could you think any other way? And now I'm going to show you how you're brainwashed. There was a black man at home. There was a guy running from home to get away from the guy that was also wearing a mask. So you have a black guy at home wearing a mask, and a white guy is running away, just to make things a little more clear, from the black guy wearing the mask. So the white guy left home and he's running. Got to the corner, made a left. Got to the next corner, made a left. Got to the next corner, made another left. And then he looked And at home, the black guy was still there wearing a mask. But the white guy kept on running home. And there may be some confusion, but the information I gave you, a black guy is wearing a mask, a white guy running from home, you're starting to paint a picture in your mind because I'm choosing to say certain things that may alarm you or may paint a certain picture of a narrative that I want to paint. But if I told you I went to a baseball game Sunday and the umpire was wearing black, and back in the day they used to have black coat, black shield, black everything, and then the batter swung, hit the ball, knocked it over the fence, and the batter ran from home, made a left on first, left on second, left on third, ran home to the guy with the mask that was in all black guy, and he hit a home run. Now, you're thinking of a different story because I had a different narrative, and I just brainwashed you. And all I'm saying is, when you follow certain people, things, news organizations, whatever it is, on the right and the left, if they have a narrative, you will be brainwashed. You will hear things reported a certain way from if you're listening to your friends or tweets that have a certain opinion already, and that's the only information you get, you're not going to come to a non-biased solution, which, we want to be as wise as possible because we're talking about some pretty important things, and it's not going to happen if you do not look at the evidence and then come to your conclusion. That's the hardest thing to do. And the older I get, the more I try to do that. And actually the easier it gets to do that, because if you're defending a stance that you had and it's an emotional stance, that does get a little wearing. And what happens is, when the first time you have that cognitive dissonance, when somebody kind of puts a crack in your argument and you've been believing that since childhood, and then you all of a sudden now you just want to be right, you don't care about the facts, and so you just argue, and then you don't have the information. Instead of saying fair enough, we'll agree to disagree, let me look into that more, you start to argue something else or another point. You may insult the person personally, or you get frustrated, and that's not a good place to be when you want to be right for the sake of being right, and you're not looking for the truth and or how the truth may affect you. Because I'm sure if you go on all the podcasts that are anti-police and that support the narrative that the police are just executing black people on a daily basis because of the color of their skin, you will all day long, you're basically, they're preaching to the choir, and you could fill yourself up with a bunch of arguments, like I said, that are true earlier when I brought up the example, but they're not doing you any good. They're doing you a disservice in that they're painting their narrative. What you do need to understand about police is most cops care about, more than anything else, their pension. And they are not going to waste that over a minority, a white guy, anybody. They are not going to risk losing that. Their monetary gains are the most important thing to them. When they're on the phone, when you're while you're trying to wrestle your hands-free device, figuring out so you don't get a ticket, and your car's swerving and almost going off the side of the road because that new stupid law, your phone has to be in a cradle, and hands-free and everything. When you see them drive by and they're on the phone, it's not an emergency call. It's not like, hey, we need to call the suspect from a landline. And no, that's just them talking to their real estate agent about flipping a house. It's yes, there is two Americas when it comes to professional courtesy. If you're I've been doing 100 miles an hour down a two-way road at night, and there's no alcohol involved, but I've been pulled over, and I've gotten professional courtesy in the past. Not because I'm white, because we were law enforcement and not on duty or anything. Just the cops seen a badge and have a nice day, fellas. No problemo. But if I was drinking, it's a different story. If I was black and they saw a badge, have a nice day, fellas. Same thing. No problemo. It's not a race thing. Cops are looking to make a lot of money, and they want to do as little work as possible. If a cop could go sleep under a bridge, and I'm not saying every cop, I'm just saying 99.9999% of them, if they can go and they could sleep and take the day off and do something, still get paid, they will. I promise they're not hunting minorities. They may step it up a notch because, in my opinion, I've seen a lot of police officers change the way they look at certain groups. And if you take when I see a white guy that looks like he's been doing like methamphetamines or whatever, he has that look, so it triggers certain things in my mind. Does it mean I don't like white guys? No, it just means that I've seen what this guy, his brethren have done, so I'm gonna paint this guy with the same picture. Just like if I've been bit by a German Shepherd and on more than one occasion, I'm typically not going to trust a German Shepherd. It doesn't mean I'm out to get him. It's just I've been bit, so God gives you discernment. I think if a police officer sees somebody that they think looks like a gang member, they're going to treat them a certain way. And in this instance that we're talking about, I don't know what the guy looked like exactly. I don't know the call that I know that there was a call that there was a suspect that matched his description that was involved in a robbery, and so that triggers some things. I remember John McCarthy, the UFC referee. He's a retired LAPD lieutenant. And he was undercover, and he was busting somebody, and I think somebody else called 911. And as soon as the cop showed up, he had his gun, he had his badge and everything, but he was undercover, so he wasn't in a uniform. He laid down, put his hands up, laid down, spread eagle before the cops even said anything. And when you have a gun and there's a cop coming, to do this, and you're thinking, oh well, how's the guy? No, when you get a concealed weapons permit, there's a lot of things that they let you know. They just don't hand them out. You have to take a test and take a class or whatever. And if you have a gun and you don't realize that when you see a police officer, the first thing you do is, hey, I have a gun, my hands are up. Before you don't even reach for your. In my opinion, I would think what happened is he started reaching for his wallet, and then the cop noticed the gun. Then he said stop, and what I could picture, and I wasn't there, but I could picture this happening is the person still going for their wallet, and the cop's just not giving this person the benefit of the doubt. All he does is sees a gun, and there's hands around a gun, and the cop knows that for the cop's whole career, anybody that has a gun, you exaggerate how far your hands are. You just don't go near the gun. Even if you ask for your wallet, they can't shoot you for not going for your wallet.